The information provided in this video is for general, informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended as professional financial or investment advice. Always seek the advice of a qualified financial advisor with any questions you may have regarding your personal financial situation or investment decisions. The creator is not liable for any errors or omissions, or for any losses or damages you may incur as a result of relying on this content. Past performance is not an indicator of future results. Do your own research.
Welcome back to Iron Financial. If you've been watching the markets for the last 18 months, there is one narrative that has completely sucked the oxygen out of the room: Nvidia. And rightfully so. They are the kings of the AI revolution. They are selling the shovels in the gold rush. Every major tech company is lining up, checkbook in hand, begging for H100 and Blackwell chips. But while the headlines are obsessed with Nvidia's $1 trillion rise, something massive is happening in the background. It's quieter. It's less flashy. But structurally, it might be even more important for the future of the technology sector. Google Alphabet is effectively building a trapdoor. They aren't just buying Nvidia chips anymore. They are aggressively moving toward a future where they don't need Nvidia for their most critical workloads. They have launched a two-pronged attack with new custom silicon, the Trillium TPU for AI processing, and the Axion CPU for general computing. Today, we are going to do a full breakdown of these chips. We aren't just listing specs, we're going to look at the business strategy, the cost savings, and exactly why Google is spending billions to vertically integrate their own hardware. This is the difference between renting a house and building one. Let's get into it. Before we look at the specific chips, we have to understand the philosophy here. Why does a software company like Google bother making hardware? It's incredibly expensive and risky. The answer lies in vertical integration. Think about Apple. Apple stopped using Intel chips in their MacBooks and built the M1, M2, and M3 chips. Why? Because when you control the silicon, you can tailor it perfectly to your software. You get better battery life, better speed, and you stop paying Intel's profit margin. Google is doing the exact same thing, but at a data center scale. Right now, the Nvidia tax is real. When Google buys an H100 GPU from Nvidia, they are paying for Nvidia's R&D, Nvidia's marketing, and Nvidia's massive 70% plus gross margins. If you are Google, and you plan to spend $50 billion a year on CapEx, paying that markup to a competitor hurts. So, Google's strategy is simple: build custom chips optimized specifically for their needs. They don't need a chip that plays video games or mines crypto. They need a chip that runs search, YouTube, and Gemini. If they can build that in-house, they strip out the middleman. They lower their cost of goods sold, or COGS. And in the long run, that protects their margins better than any other strategy. This brings us to their new heavy hitter, the Trillium chip. Let's talk about Trillium. This is the 6th generation of Google's Tensor Processing Unit, or TPU. Now, it's important to distinguish between a GPU and a TPU. Nvidia makes GPUs, graphics processing units. These are general-purpose supercars. They can do anything incredibly fast. Google's TPU is an ASIC, an application-specific integrated circuit. It's designed to do basically one thing: matrix math. That is the math that powers deep learning and large language models. Trillium is a beast. Compared to the previous version, TPU v5e, Trillium offers a nearly 5x increase in peak compute performance. That is a generational leap. But raw speed isn't actually the most interesting part for investors. The most interesting part is energy efficiency. Google claims Trillium is 67% more energy efficient than the previous generation. Why does this matter? Because in a data center, power is the limiting factor. You can only shove so many servers into a building before you melt the power grid. If your chip is 67% more efficient, you can do way more work for the same electricity bill. Furthermore, Google doesn't just plug these chips in one by one. They connect them using a proprietary technology called ICI Interchip Interconnect. They link thousands of these Trillium chips together into what they call an ironwood pod. To the software, an ironwood pod looks like one giant, massive brain. This allows Google to train massive models like Gemini faster and cheaper than if they were trying to cobble together a system using off-the-shelf parts. When you hear about Google investing in infrastructure, this is what they are buying. They are building factory floors where the machines are designed by Google, built for Google, to run Google software. But AI isn't just about the heavy math. You also need a general manager. You need a CPU to handle the data, run the databases, and manage the web requests. For decades, this was Intel's territory. Every server had an Intel Xeon processor inside. But Google has decided to disrupt that relationship too. Enter Axion. Axion is Google's first custom ARM-based CPU for the data center. If you follow technology, you know that ARM is the architecture used in mobile phones and Apple chips because it is incredibly power efficient. Google Axion processors deliver up to 50% better performance and 60% better energy efficiency than comparable current generation x86-based instances. That is a massive difference. Think about YouTube. Every time you load a video, a CPU has to fetch that data, process the request, and serve it to you. That happens billions of times a day. If Google can do that using 60% less energy with Axion, that goes straight to the bottom line. This also puts massive pressure on companies like Intel and AMD. Google is essentially saying, we don't need your generic chips anymore. We can build better ones ourselves. By pairing Trillium, the AI muscle, with Axion, the brains, Google creates a completely closed loop. They control the entire stack. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. If Google's chips are so good, why is Nvidia still selling every chip they make? That is the trillion-dollar question. And the answer is software. Nvidia has a moat called CUDA. It's the software language that almost every AI researcher learned to code on. It is sticky. It is hard to leave. If you are a startup or a researcher, you want Nvidia GPUs because everything just works. Google's TPUs run on different software, primarily JAX and TensorFlow. For a long time, this was a barrier. Developers didn't want to learn a new language just to save a few bucks on Google Cloud. But Google is working overtime to fix this. They are building translation layers, software that lets you take code written for Nvidia and run it on Google TPUs without a headache. More importantly, Google doesn't need to convince the whole world to switch to TPUs. They just need to use them for their own products. Remember, Google itself is one of the biggest consumers of AI compute in the world. If they move all of Search, all of Waymo, and all of Gemini onto Trillium, they save billions, regardless of what the rest of the market does. They are their own best customer.
So, how do we contextualize this as investors? We need to stop looking at Google solely as an advertising company and start looking at them as a vertically integrated systems company. Every dollar they spend on custom silicon is a dollar they don't give to suppliers. It improves their gross margins. It gives them control over their own destiny. If there is a shortage of Nvidia chips next year, Google won't panic because they have Trillium. This is a defensive play, but it's also an offensive one. By offering these chips on the Google Cloud platform, they can undercut competitors on price. They can say to customers, hey, you can rent an Nvidia H100 for $4 an hour, or you can use our Trillium chip for $2 an hour and get the same results. That pricing power is going to be critical as AI becomes a commodity. The chip wars are just getting started. Nvidia has the lead, but Google has the deep pockets and the engineering talent to play the long game. Trillium and Axion are proof that Google isn't sleeping at the wheel. I'd love to hear your take in the comments. Do you think custom silicon gives Google a real edge? Or is Nvidia's software moat too strong to cross? Let me know down below. If you got value from this deep dive, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And subscribe to Iron Financial for more no-nonsense analysis of the tech and finance world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.